Hello, and welcome to Wicked Wednesdays with The Collective. Tonight, our tale is that of a child's teddy bear. This is The Adventures of Sir Byron. What's that in the corner? Teddy bears aren't always bears. We can be a number of creatures. We are pigs, dogs, horses, cats, elephants, even monkeys. I, however, am a bear, and my name is Sir Byron. I think it was Mommy that gave me that name. I don't mind it. We come alive when someone starts loving us. The creature that started loving me and gave me life is named Hunter. He doesn't speak like the other two taller ones. Actually, he doesn't do much of anything. Rarely do we get to leave our cell. According to Mommy and Dada, Hunter is 4 months old, whatever that means. I know one thing though, this little creature has taken a liking to me. Hunter and I spend almost all our time together, more than even Mommy and Dada. During the day he sometimes leaves with Mommy, and I'm all alone in the cell at these times. It's quite boring, really. And one time I managed to get out and I fell to the floor. When Mommy got home she saw me lying there, and she put me back. During the night, Mommy goes away until morning. It's just Hunter and me. He moves closer to me. I think I make him feel safe. At first, I didn't know why he always snuggles me at night. I saw nothing wrong with the nursery. It felt safe to me. I didn't see what was in the corner, though. One night, Hunter was crying. Usually when he cried, the one called Mommy would come into the nursery to calm him down. On this night, though, Hunter was crying and no Mommy came. I couldn't figure it out. What was keeping her? She always came. What was making him cry? I looked towards him, and that's when I saw it. A large, nasty, gnarled hand. It was coming up from below the crib on the outside, just out of my view at first. The hand was old, wrinkled, and had long, yellow nails. It was pinching him. That's why he was crying. The hand was pinching him. I jumped up and bounced toward the hand. Whoever it belonged to sensed me and pulled it away quickly. I heard something scurry under the crib and out the other side. I turned around and ran towards the other end trying to see what it was. I looked around and just barely caught a view of something hunched over with a bony back. It disappeared into the corner of the room where it was dark. I was terrified. I calmed Hunter down by sitting next to him so he could feel my soft, fluffy fur. Eventually he calmed down and went back to sleep. I stayed up all night watching the corner of the room I last saw it enter. I wanted to make sure it didn't come back. Hunter slept soundly. That's the first night I felt my purpose. When daylight came through the window and I was able to see, there was nothing in the corner of the nursery. After that, I was staying awake every night and keeping an eye out for the creature. It became my obsession. I'd sleep during the day while Hunter was out of our cell. At night, I'd stay up all night long. From one end of the cell to the other, I'd walk, looking over the nursery and making sure that it didn't come back. I did this for about 2 weeks. Nothing. I saw nothing, heard nothing, felt nothing. Maybe I'd imagined the entire thing. Hunter had been sleeping through the night, every night since the incident. It was so ugly and twisted. That creature haunted my dreams, though. When I'd sleep during the day, I'd see it lurking over me. I started waking up sweating. It was getting to me. Maybe this thing wasn't after him. Maybe it was after me. Mommy and Dada went out on a date. The grandma came over to watch Hunter. I'd seen the grandma a couple of times before. A nice older lady. This time, however, I noticed something about her. I noticed Grandma's hands. Wrinkly, bony, old. It can't be. She was much too nice to be the creature in the nursery. I couldn't shake it, though. The hands were close to the same. I kept my eyes on her this time. I studied her every move. Grandma didn't move like the creature. It was all hunched over, back in the air, bent at the knees, hands almost dragging on the ground. Grandma also had too much hair. The creature's hair was much thinner and scraggly. The last thing that ruled out Grandma was the nails. Grandma's nails were much nicer than the thing in the nursery. No, I decided Grandma was not the creature. Nighttime came and Grandma placed both Hunter and I in the cell. She bent over and kissed him on the forehead. She grabbed me up with both hands and placed me snuggled up next to him. I always liked it when Grandma would pick me up. She always used 2 hands and was gentle with me. Grandma turned on the nightlight and shut the door. Hunter was asleep soon. It never took him long to fall asleep. Grandma always made me feel comfortable. After a little bit, I felt myself getting drowsy and I dozed off. I'm not certain how long I was sleeping for, but a scratching sound right beneath the cell made me jump awake. I opened my eyes and laid still. I knew immediately what it was. My breath caught in my throat. My heart stopped beating. It was moving under the bed and coming up the side of the crib. I looked over at Hunter. He was sound asleep. I carefully slid my back up against the bars and got myself into a sitting position. The scratching sound stopped just outside of my view. I knew it was right next to him. I started to stand up. Just as I got to my feet, it appeared. There was no mistaking it. Old, wrinkled, long yellow nails. The skin seemed dead. It was as if it was stuck to the bone. Nothing but skin and bone, as they say. I steadied myself as the creature's hand hovered over Hunter. The hand moved down to pinch him just like it had last time. The nasty nails went towards his soft, pink, chubby cheeks. I jumped at the hand and bit it. I bit it as hard as my fluffy bare mouth could bite. I wanted to draw blood. I heard a hissing noise as the creature inhaled sharply. It quickly pulled its hand back through the bars. I ran and jumped over Hunter. I reached up and grabbed a hold of a blanket that hung on the side of the cell. I pulled with all my might. Up and over I went. With a crash. Well, as much of a crash as a soft, fluffy teddy bear can make. I hit the floor. My stuffing absorbed most of the blow. The good thing about being a stuffed animal is we're hardy beings. My eyes quickly adjusted to the darkness under the cell. There it was. We were face to face, looking at each other. The creature hissed at me. "Sir Byron, indeed." The thing spat at me. Thin, white, wispy hair hung off its scalp in patches. The creature had sunken-in black eyes. Its teeth were sharp and yellow, and the only clothes that it wore was some soiled, torn gray shorts. This was nothing more than a skeleton wearing a skin suit. For a moment we just looked at each other. It twitched, just a little, and moved slightly toward me. I ran at it full speed. As I moved, the creature took off from under the cell. It almost galloped across the floor on all fours towards the corner it went into before. There was no way I was letting it escape again. I gave chase. Just as the creature got to the corner, I jumped. My arms outstretched, I leaped through the air. My hands closed around a wiry, bony wrist. I held on with both hands as I landed. I pulled it toward me. The creature and I were face to face again. It started trying to shake me off. For how frail it looked, it was very strong. It shook and I held on. "Get off me," the creature yelled. Hunter stirred. The creature bit down on my arm and tore my fur. Fluff came out in its mouth and stuck between its teeth. It hissed at me. "Let go." Hunter woke up and started to cry. The creature intensified its attempt to shake me. I held fast. I started climbing up its arm and towards its throat. I got to the thing's head and found my arms around its neck. Hunter continued to cry, but I could hear Grandma was coming. I wrapped my arms around the creature's neck and squeezed. It wheezed. The thing tried to buck me off, but I could not be removed. I tightened my grasp and squeezed as hard as I could. Grandma was right down the hall. She was almost here. I held fast. The creature bucked again, and then it was still. The door opened and light flooded the room. Grandma saw Hunter crying and went to him right away. I lay perfectly still as to not tip her off that I was a real being. All of us teddy bears do this. It's an unwritten rule. I glanced around, though. The creature had disappeared from under me, hopefully for good. I felt relieved. I took a big breath and let it out. Grandma calmed Hunter down and got him back to sleep by rocking him in the chair. She picked him up and placed him back in the cell. "What are you doing down there, Sir Byron?" Grandma said quietly. The old lady bent down and picked me up. She noticed my torn arm and examined it. "I'll fix you right up, good sir," she said. The old lady sat downstairs with me that night and stitched me up for the first time, but it was not the last. Hunter slept through the night. I made a new friend in Grandma. Oh, and the creature? It was never heard from again. However, the claw marks on the side of the cell served as a reminder to what truly lurked in the room.